In today's video, we're going to talk about my layout. You guys probably forgot I had one. Why? Because they make it like that. It's almost been a year since I started my new layout. The official start of my bench work happened a year ago, and I started it before I even finished the drywall in my basement. Fast forward now, here we are in June of 2024, and the drywall's still not done. But the drywall in my office is done, so that means my layout can go up. It's a little bit of cart before the horse, but you know what? Sometimes you just gotta do things. So as you have seen in this video, I built a 16-inch by 7-foot section of my layout, and it was originally going to be just a shelf layout, just so that I had something to work on, something to model, just so I don't lose my mind. But then as soon as I started laying track and running trains, I realized if I have more space, I'm gonna use it. I have a 10-foot by 10-foot office, and I'm going to go all the way around. And that includes going across the door, which means I'm going to need to work in some form of lift or duck or backflip or something to get in and out of the room with ease. I have never backed down from a challenge when it comes to building things, so here we are. Let's plan a layout. Now, I know a lot of people use AnyRail or just a pen and paper, and like for myself, I literally just start building things and mapping it out as I go. It's like my live streams. I just plan it as I go. I just hit go live and say hello, and I make it up as I go. But with this build, I wanted to include you guys in the process, because here's the thing. My office is 10 foot by 10 foot square, which is not a ton of space. Luckily, I'm N scale because I'm smart. Can you imagine if I had a 10 foot by 10 foot HO layout? That would be like having a 5 foot by 5 foot layout. Why would I do that? I can have double the amount of space. It's like having a 20 foot by 20 foot room. Is your room 20 foot by 20 foot? No? But this is my office. This is a reasonable representation of my office. The only piece of furniture that I have modeled in here is my hutch that I got from my grandmother, and it's the focal point of the room. I mean, except for the train layout. But yeah, there it is. You got a window up here, and you've got a hutch here, and at some point there's going to be a desk that I will have on wheels that I can tuck in and out from under the layout as I see fit. And I'm basically just going to have everything on wheels. This piece right here is the section that I've already built. That's why it's highlighted a different color. And from there, as far as my planning is concerned, I've basically mapped out the bench work, and that's about it. I'm going to have a thinner piece along the back wall here, just because I don't want to completely bury this hutch. I would like to keep it in view. I use it for storage. I like the look of it, and all of that fun stuff. I plan on doing a bit of scenery along here, not too much operation, mostly just scenery. Maybe a highway or something like that. You know how sometimes you see a highway, or in some people's case, an interstate running parallel with the tracks. That's kind of my plan along here. And then once you get into this section, that's probably where I'm going to have a little bit more industry. And in this corner, my thought was to have something like intermodal. On this piece here, originally, my plan was to have industry along the bottom with a raised section and the city up top. But I'm not sure if I'm going to do city over here or city on this piece and make it a little bit wider and have city on this piece instead. I haven't quite decided. Or, I'm saying or a lot because there's a lot of options. Yeah. I could technically do both. I could have city on both of these with industry on a lower level and the city raised up. That gives me lots of room for retaining walls. And you know what happens with retaining walls a lot of times? They get graffiti. Who wants some retaining walls with graffiti? Let me know in the comments. I think I might make those. And then you could get them on my Etsy store. Let's take a picture of this and open it up in something where we can actually doodle on it, because I'm not gonna bother with 3D modeling right now. Alright, so this is my layout. I don't remember exactly what my track plan was through here, but it's basically a double main that comes along like this and like this, parallel with each other. Ignore my scribbles. I thought I would have been able to draw a little bit smoother than that. So basically my main line comes across the middle like this and out like that, and it's a double main, so we're just gonna do that. And then there is the siding here with some industry that goes down into here and another industry that comes back this way. Forgive me if I'm forgetting something, but I'm pretty sure that's it. And then I have like a dummy track that goes off into nothing there. I was thinking of having a bridge come across like this, just into nothing, just because I like the look of bridges, and bridges have abutments, and abutments and girders have graffiti on them. So that would be my bridge like that, with a road. And from there, I would have a raised platform that would be essentially like this, and then maybe I'd have it come out a little bit more pronounced like that. Maybe I'll do a little bit more on one side and then back like that. The problem being is that doesn't give me a ton of space for city, and as you know, Oceanwide Plaza is very big. So that's why I was kind of thinking along the lines of adding Oceanwide Plaza on this side and making this piece a little bit bigger. Let me actually just put my ruler and make this a little bit wider. I was thinking about having another raised section on this side that would be a lot more pronounced, with a bit of a city in the corner here. Maybe not so big, maybe back in the corner like this. I would be able to have some industries into this section here. I'm not quite sure how I would do that. And then my main line would run across the front like this. So let's get rid of the industries for now, because I need to be able to have a nice rounded radius like this that then comes back across this way and around. But if you have any suggestions, please feel free to leave a comment. That's the whole purpose of this video. I want to hear it. I don't know how it's all gonna go. I have no idea. And now that I'm looking at this radius here, it might actually be a little bit better if I put the intermodal along the front of this section instead of at the back. The only reason I was thinking about having it at the back was because I've seen it done where you play tricks with mirrors and stuff, and you can have a mirror here, and then when you have all of your containers in here, it looks like the containers go on for days. Honestly, this is kind of where I'm at with my planning stages right now, and then when it comes to the lift gate section, I might end up having to do something that's a little bit curved, like this, that just lifts out, and I can set it aside when I'm not running the layout, and then I can just pop it back into place with some form of like orienting pins or something like that, so that it finds its place every single time. The lift function I don't think really works because it's a corner, unless of course I just made it hinge on one end and then had it come up and it's just a curved piece that's sticking up in the middle of nowhere. That could work, but I haven't really decided yet how I'm gonna do that. It's a double main, because I like double mains. I like the look of trains passing each other, so I really want to continue that on. Have my main come across like this, and then this might be too sharp of a corner unless I come across the back here. So let me actually get my eraser, get rid of this, get rid of this, and now if I come across this way, then I can cut to the front of the layout like that, and then in like that. That would give me a nice sweeping curve. Same with this one, have it follow parallel like that. And then I can have my tracks for intermodal coming off into here. I don't know, maybe just 2 tracks. You can have another industry in here like this. Just like that, maybe 2 tracks, I don't know. I'm thinking that right here is where I would maybe put ocean wide, somewhere in here. That's ocean wide. And then obviously build a city around it with all kinds of skyscrapers and whatnot. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear your critiques. I'd love to hear your advice. You never know, it might end up on the layout, it might not, but I just want to know what you think. I want to make this layout as great as I can in such a small space. 10 foot by 10 foot is not a ton of space, but I just want to prove to you that you do not need a ton of space to do this hobby. This is the greatest hobby ever. I know a lot of people think that it takes a lot to get into, a lot of money to get into. Guess how much money I've spent on materials so far for this build? Take a wild guess. None. I'm using leftover plywood. I'm using scrap plywood that was being thrown away. You just gotta dig. You gotta be that guy that says, hey, are you getting rid of that? I can use that piece. And I mean, because my layout is built in such small modules and in such a small space, I can use smaller pieces and just make modules. If I want it to be 18 inches wide, but the piece that I found is 16 inches wide, well then guess what? It's gonna be a 16-inch wide layout. I'm not picky that way, and whatever works, works. Like I said, I've spent $0 on plywood so far. My last layout I built out of scrap lumber that my dad had behind the barn. And I had a blast on that. I mean, obviously you're gonna have to buy rolling stock and locomotives and things like that, but buildings you can scratch build, trees you can build. I'll show you how I do that. A lot of these things you can do in a DIY sense and you don't have to spend a ton of money. So if you're thinking that this hobby is insanely expensive, I mean, it can be, but it doesn't have to be. And I'm here to show you that you can do it in a small space, you can do it on a small budget. I have both of those things, and I'm gonna show you how I do it, and I'm gonna take you along for the ride. If you missed part 1, it's right here, and until next time, remember, they make it like that.